Hello and welcome back to Soft Spoken Storytime, episode 43, continuing on with SCP-001. Codename Roundhouse's Gold Proposal, AMONI RAM. Level 4/001 Classified. Item number SCP-001. Pending. AMONI RAM. Special Containment Procedures. Full containment procedures have not been finalized due to recent changes in the status of SCP-001, detailed at the conclusion of this file with a tentative response plan. Foundation policy on cybernetic implants is currently frozen, pending Council vote. SCP-001 Map Description. SCP-001 is an extra-dimensional bubble of self-contained reality, located in the southern Arabian Desert, inaccessible to individuals that do not have prior knowledge of SCP-001's location. Traveling through the desert with only the intention of reaching SCP-001 is not sufficient. Express and exact knowledge of its geographical position is required. Notably, individuals with some sort of artificial implant ranging from surgical screws and plates to complex prosthetics, appear to have a higher chance of success in locating and entering the anomaly. The purpose and range of this is unclear, but personnel with implants successfully entered SCP-001 in 88% of tests, compared to standard personnel's 62%. SCP-001 contains an ancient metropolis partially buried in the sand. Maps and initial sonar testing indicate approximately 2/3 of this city are above ground and largely intact, while the subterranean portion has degraded heavily and is no longer structurally sound. The above-ground portion is made up of skyscrapers and buildings up to half a kilometer high, using modern design techniques far beyond those available at the time of construction, which has been carbon dated to approximately 2400 BCE. The buildings are fully set and furnished and appear to have served residential, commercial, bureaucratic, and various other uses. The largest and most intricate of these buildings is a large temple structure in the center of the city that extends through all thirds. There are no living organisms inside the city. See Section 001.4. The buildings also contain artistic works and large bas-reliefs depicting a variety of scenes ranging from apparently religious stories to historical events. These contain writing in an unknown language, containing elements of Old Arabic. See Section 001.2. Most of these are concentrated in the temple at the heart of SCP-001. The subterranean floors are dominated by extensive complex machinery. These range from antiquated clockwork systems to vacuum tubes to power generators extremely similar to modern nuclear reactors. However, all machinery is non-functional and appears to be in a state of advanced disrepair. SCP-001-A is a collective designation for all automata found within the city, chief among which is SCP-001-A1. See Section 001.2. SCP-001-A1 has identified the city as being the origin for the Quranic myth of Iram of the Pillars. See Section 001.1, but has clarified that its proper name is AMONI RAM. Section 001.1 Historical Briefing. The first mention of Iram in mundane literature is in the 89th chapter of the Quran, lines 6 through 14. They reference Iram, who has lofty pillars, the likes of whom had never been created in the lands, as a culture subject to divine retribution by God for their oppression of others. Have you not considered how your Lord dealt with Ad, with Iram, who had lofty pillars, the likes of whom had never been created in the lands, and with Tamid, who carved out the rocks in the valley, and with Pharaoh, who, owner of the pyramids, all of whom oppressed within the lands, and increased therein the corruption. So your Lord poured upon them a scourge of punishment. Indeed, your Lord is in observation. Surah al-Fajr 6-14. Many theories have been offered on the identity or location of the group or city identified as Iram, but nothing has ever been confirmed by the wider historical community. From Lord Blackwood's private collection. SCP-001 first came to Foundation attention in 1983 upon the containment of SCP-1867. With the seizure of assets in SCP-1867's private vault, a series of journals were recovered detailing its experiences with the French Armée d'Orient during the campaign into the Middle East in 1801. One journal partially dictated an encounter with a vast, ruined city accessible only to those who knew its location, but moisture damage had led it largely unreadable. An interview was conducted. Open addendum. Lord Theodore Thomas Blackwood. Interviewer, Dr. Hedwig Nussbaum, Parahistory Department, Special Consultant on Anomalous Cults and Cultures. Subject, SCP-1867, Lord Theodore Thomas Blackwood. Begin log. SCP-1867. Evening, Madam. Nussbaum. Hello, Lord Blackwood. SCP-1867. I must say, it's heartening to see someone of the gentler sex in such an academic position. Warms the cockles of my heart. Nussbaum. Right. Well, we would like to talk to you about one of the items recovered from your vault, a journal titled Lord Blackwood in the First Cities of Man. SCP-1867. Of course. Penned from 1800 to 1824. Does the journal not answer your questions? I recall being very thorough. Nussbaum. Water damage has left it unreadable. SCP-1867. I see. That's a shame. Well, it's been quite a while, but I remember that adventure fondly. Initiated by a gift given to me by one Monsieur Jacques Brazet of l'Estate Noire. Agents of the French crown had recovered it before the Revolution from an ancient shipwreck in Aegean Sea. What was it? A set of 6 clay tablets, remarkably preserved for their age, detailing the existence of 3 empires spanning Asia, thousands of years old, and more powerful and advanced than any culture since, even our own. And, of course, the nigh-apocalyptic war. You would think something like that would leave evidence. Yes, I was similarly skeptical upon my first reading of the tablets. But they addressed those inquiries. These empires were advanced occultists, magicians and magic users, ruled by sorcerer nawabs. Hiding their cities from their enemies was a trivial task, and exactly why the mundane scholars have found nothing. But not you, I take it. Exactly correct, madam. I believe I have a copy of one of the pages from the journal stashed away somewhere. I'll see if we can't find that. But in simplest terms, the first of the 3 great cities of man was AMONI RAM, located in the sands of Arabia. As luck would have it, Monsieur Brazil was accompanying General Bonaparte, still a general at that time, thank heavens, on his campaign into Egypt. Simple matter for me and a small expedition to tag along and then diverge into the peninsula. So you knew the location of the city at this point? In a fashion. You see, the tablets claimed AMONI RAM was hidden after the other empires allied to attack it, as it was a superior center of knowledge and weaponry. Only those who knew its location could enter, and its location happened to be recorded in the tablets. 3 days into the desert, we found it. It was like passing into a bubble, and the towers became visible over the horizon. Towers, you said? Great buildings, fashioned of metal, impossibly tall, easily hundreds of meters. A bronze glow set them alight from the sun overhead. There must have been a dozen of these skyscraping buildings, between them resting smaller but still grand buildings of marble, stone, clay, towering minarets, and domes like those found in Mohammedan temples. A grand sight altogether. The city must have been able to hold hundreds of thousands of people. We explored a tiny fraction of the surface portion. There was a subterranean area. Even bigger than the surface, I would say. Again, we could not explore deep. The underground rapidly transitioned from grand hollows and caverns to a winding, labyrinthine tunnel system. Metal pipes and doors and rivets all throughout. Machinery I could not begin to guess the purpose of. All still as death. Did you find any entities inside the city? No living ones, though my men repeatedly claimed they heard something skittering about while we stayed in the city. I dismissed it as wildlife, sand rabbits or such. We never saw anything. What about dead ones? Yes, entire sections of the tunnels were impassable, growths of a strange black vine, as thick as a man, winding and knotting entire passageways. It appeared petrified. There were also curious bulbous sacs sticking to the walls and ceiling of many buildings, under and above ground. I prodded these with my sword. They leaked, spewing out a decomposing specimen that smelled like death. An impossibly emaciated man, skin burnt away by the acid. We did not touch them again. Sounds like something bad happened there. Indeed. Throughout the city has a very specific air, I suppose. An air? The distinct feeling of walking into a graveyard. End log. SCP-1867 surrendered the location of the Aegean tablets. Translation is ongoing due to the extremely specific dialect of ancient Greek they are written in. The extant page of the journal mentioned by Blackwood contains a translation of the front of the first tablet. In the beginning there were three. 1,000 years before man learned of Olympus, before the extinction of the giants, before the sea had full regressed, there were three great cities dividing the world, tripartite, Mamzul and Korar, two dark fortresses resting in the jungles of the subcontinent. The magicians and sorcerer Nawabs allied themselves against the horrors of the jungle and crossed a pact with something ancient. The covenant of the Deva was born, using the first magic gifted to man, the magic of life and death. Aditum, a city thrown into rebellion by a charismatic slave turned lay preacher who promised wealth, freedom, and power to those that would help him. Together they threw off their yokes, slaughtered their oppressors with their new sorcery, and rebuilt their collapsed city, all under the name of the Grand Karcist Ion. The Nalka Empire freed the second magic, carnomancy, the magic of flesh. AMONI RAM, first great ram of the Mechanite Empire, as it spread like a wildfire from the deserts. A gleaming, shining metropolis rising out of the dunes, a center of knowledge, science, understanding that the world had never seen. The magic of machines became known, the fervor for a new god that sought to uplift men, not subjugate them. 1,000 years before, the three great nations of men fought a war that destroyed the world. The Aegean tablets go on to clarify that AMONI RAM was ruled by a theocratic cult in the area. The endonym of the group is unknown, but the Greek tablets refer to it exclusively as the Mechanite cult, or cult of the broken god. No other evidence for this group has been discovered thus far. Section 001.2 Initial Encounter. MTF Sigma-3 Magellan Man were dispatched to the coordinates provided by SCP-1867 to investigate the location of SCP-001 and, if possible, gain entry to the city. Open addendum. Begin log. Magellan 1. We're coming up to the coordinates now. Set her down nice and easy. We'll walk to the last kick. Over. Magellan 5, pilot. Roger that. Over. Magellan 5 drops altitude, lowering the helicopter to the ground. The rest of the Magellan team disembarks. Magellan 2. Location is directly due north, sir. Magellan 4. About a 0.7-click walk. Magellan 1. Right, let's get going. Over the next 14 minutes, Magellan team closes in on the coordinates of Scp-001. Magellan 3. Closing in, sir. Command. Over. Continue through. Keep on radio contact. Magellan 1. Got it. Over. Over the next several minutes, all members of Magellan fan out over the nearby area to try and locate Scp-001. They are unsuccessful. Magellan 1. Command, we can't find anything out here. Our instruments aren't showing anything either. It looks like regular old Command. Magellan, we are no longer reading Magellan 4's biometrics. Please confirm. Magellan 4 is no longer present in the area. Magellan 2. Magellan 4? Chris, do you copy? Magellan 1. Safe. Magellan 4. Over radio. This is Magellan 4. Over. The hell did you guys go? Magellan 3. We're still here. Where did you go? Magellan 4. Wait, you... Hold on. Magellan 4 partially reappears. His upper half juts out from mid-air as if he is leaning through a doorway. Magellan 1. Oh, you found it. Well done. Command, permission to enter? Command. Permission granted. Apparently radio's still working there. Keep in contact. Over. Magellan team enters Scp-001. Biometrics are lost. Audio-visual contact is lost for 13 seconds. Satellite uplink re-established and a video feed from Magellan 4's ocular implants begins coming through. The other 3 members of Magellan are visible, standing on a sand dune. Several hundred meters ahead of them, a massive glass and metal city stands shining in the sunlight. Its skyscrapers are hundreds of meters tall, bordering broad avenues of sandstone. Magellan 2. Oh man. Magellan 4. That is... Wow. That's beautiful. Command. Please enter the city and begin an initial exploration. Magellan continues into the streets of AMONI RAM. The larger skyscrapers are made of bronze-colored metal and polished glass, while the smaller buildings seem to be constructed from a blend of limestone bricks and concrete. All buildings exhibit an architectural style reminiscent of Islamic and Moroccan architecture. The street appears to have designated sections for pedestrians and larger traffic. Magellan 2. This place is thousands of years old. Why do they have streets with lanes? Magellan 4. The rest of the place looks awfully advanced. Maybe they had early anomalous cars or something. I don't know. Magellan 3, exiting a home. These are all fully furnished, too. It looks lived in, like everyone up and left midway through dinner. Magellan 4, pause. You guys hear that? Magellan 1. No, what is it? Magellan 4. Nothing. Thought I heard a rat or something. Magellan continues through the city. They encounter large stairways inset into the ground, leading to the subterranean sections. They return before descending more than a few meters. Magellan 3. Blackwood wasn't lying. Looks like there's a pretty substantial underground part of the city, almost like a metro or something. It's dark and smells musty as hell down there, though. I can't see a thing. Wouldn't suggest descending without the rats. Command. Noted. Thank you. Magellan continues, arriving in a heavily deteriorated section of the city. The buildings look heavily damaged, with entire sections exploded and left to the elements. Magellan 2. Oh crap. Command? Before them lies a deep hole in the ground. At the bottom, a large pile of skeletons is visible. Magellan 3. Pit trap? Magellan 1. No obvious method of death at the bottom, and the remains are too intact for them to have died on impact. It's a mass grave. Magellan 4. Jeez, what happened here? Magellan 2. What's that at the bottom? Magellan 1. Looks like one of those vines Blackwood mentioned. Hell if I'm going down there, though. If he's right, there should be plenty around to grab samples from. After 2 hours of walking through the ruined portion of the city, encountering many more graves, Magellan approaches the low, wide complex in the approximate center of SCP-001. It is only a few stories high, but much more grand, decorated in wide bas reliefs and in illustrated facades with ceramic tiling. Magellan 2. Fancy. Between the location and the grandeur, I think it's a palace or a temple. Magellan 4. It does look very holy. Permission to enter? Command. Permission granted. Magellan enters the compound. The interior is an open-air courtyard with a central 30-meter statue of a man sitting on a throne. The man's face is obscured by an intricate mask, and his robes fall away to reveal a torso made of metal plating. Magellan 4. Looks kingly, all right. Magellan 3. I sure hope that's not life-size. Magellan 2. Check out these walls, Command. They almost look like... No, they're definitely telling a story. Should get somebody smarter than us to take a look at it. Command. Roger. Continue into the palace for now. Magellan enters through the large doorway into a central court area. An oversized throne, inset with gears and swords, sits on a raised dais at the opposite end. The interior of the palace is vast. The following hour is spent exploring its various storerooms, kitchens, and bathrooms. The vast gardens are completely bare of greenery, and as with the rest of the city, no living thing is present. Magellan returns to the throne room. Magellan 3. This place gives me the creeps. It doesn't feel abandoned, but where is everyone? Magellan 1. No idea. In any case, it's getting late. We should pack it in and... Magellan 4 turns to the wall, raising a hand. As with the rest of the city, there are numerous pipes running across the walls. Magellan 1. 4? Magellan 4, speaking to the wall. It's okay. You can come out. We won't hurt you. A metallic skittering is audible from the inside of the pipe. The other 3 members of Magellan draw their sidearms. Magellan 3. 4. What are you Magellan 4 shushes him. A few seconds later, a metallic automaton, resembling a horseshoe crab, gingerly peeks out of a hole in the pipe. It slowly approaches and climbs into 4's outstretched arm. Magellan 1. Command, are you seeing this? Command. Roger. It doesn't seem to be dangerous. Don't shoot anything, but don't let your guard down. Head on back. Magellan 1. Got it. Over. At least there's only... A loud skittering becomes audible. Around the throne room, a large number of automatons, all small but varying in shape, peer out of the various pipes. Magellan 1. Oh. End log. Magellan team exited AMONI RAM and were not pursued by the SCP-001-A instances. On their way out, they noted many SCP-001-A instances milling about the city and traversing through the city's pipe system, indicating its purpose as transportation for the entities. The SCP-001-A instances expressed no hospitality toward Magellan team, and several approached to investigate. None followed past the borders of the city. Section 001.3 Investigation. Upon debriefing of Magellan team and a series of subsequent expeditions to ascertain the area's safety and the docility of SCP-001-A instances, it was proposed that a long-term research outpost be established inside SCP-001 to study the history of AMONI RAM and then unmapped Undercity and SCP-001-A. Council Vote Summary. Yay, 051, 053, 054, 055, 056, 059, 0510, 0512, 0513. Abstain, 0511. Nay, 052, 057, 058. Status approved. 43 researchers were flown in from various sites and departments, primarily specializing in archaeology, history, anomalous or otherwise, and paratechnology. Accompanying them was 15-man Tactical Response Team India 3, Cherno. As augmented personnel were still common within the Foundation at this time, individuals with complex prosthesis, bionics, and implants were favored, both due to the relative ease of accessing SCP-001 and for further study of the unexplained connection to SCP-001-A instances. Two co-leads were selected for the project, Dr. Robert A. Ram and Dr. Hedwig Nussbaum. Dr. Robert A. Ram, age 33, position Senior Researcher in the Paratechnology Department, Special Consultant on Anomalous Robotics, Education, Ph.D. in Thaumatrometronics from ICSUT, 3 Portlands. Previous assignment, Consulting on Anomalous Technology recovered from Groups of Interest, Prometheus Labs Incorporated. Employment Summary. Left previous employer Prometheus Labs Inc. in 1979 over a salary dispute. Accepted an attractive recruitment offer from the Foundation later that year and was brought in to consult and advise on anomalous objects recovered from his previous workplace. Distinguished himself with superior prodigal knowledge and skill in handling paratechnology, promoted to senior researcher in 1982. Other notes. Left arm and leg amputated below the knee and elbow following laboratory accident at Prometheus. Replaced with high-quality anomalous prosthetics that allow fine motor movement and limited tactile sensation. Due to his dependence on them to function in the workplace, they have not been placed into containment and are in his full-time custody. Dr. Hedwig Nussbaum, age 43, position Researcher with the Parahistory Division, Special Consultant on Anomalous Cults and Cultures, Education, Ph.D. in Archaeology, University of Oslo. Previous assignment, Cataloging anomalous objects recovered in the possession of SCP-1867. Employment Summary. Recruited out of graduate school at 32 in 1972. Junior researcher on various programs until 1983. Promoted to full researcher with Level 3 clearance upon her discovery of a complex of anomalous ruins in sub-Saharan Africa. Assigned to assist with the cataloging and identification of the large amount of anomalous artifacts discovered in SCP-1867's vault, when she discovered the references to SCP-001. Other notes. Non-invasive ocular implant allowing hands-free visual communication and overlay, as well as general access to Foundation databases. All personnel selected were introduced through SCP-001 with substantial supplies and equipment, and organized a provisional dormitory and research facility in the Temple and Palace Complex, designated ARF-01. SCP-001-A instances appeared intrigued by the new arrivals, and approached to investigate before losing interest shortly thereafter. Researchers were organized primarily into two groups, an engineering team headed by Dr. A. Ram to investigate the technology of AMONI RAM and SCP-001-A instances, and an anthropological team headed by Dr. Nussbaum to investigate the history, culture, and ultimate fate of the Mechanite Empire. A general directive was given for all researchers and tactical response officers to avoid the subterranean undercity until a detachment from MTF Zeta-9 mole rats could arrive to map it out and declare it safe for study. Footnote 1. Mole rats specializing in the investigation, exploration, and containment of underground and enclosed areas exhibiting anomalous phenomena. In the meantime, both groups began investigating the rest of the surface city and compiling preliminary reports. Open addendum. From the desk of Dr. Robert A. Ram, AMONI RAM Initiative. Preliminary notes on the paratechnology of AMONI RAM. I've encountered many strange, unique things over my career at Prometheus and the Foundation, but I can firmly state that I've never seen anything quite as magical as AMONI RAM. So far, we've only been able to investigate the machinery on the surface city. I'm told the real treasure is under the streets, but obviously we can't explore that right now, which appears to be largely concentrated in the upper floors of the skyscrapers, though I think calling them skyscrapers is an understatement. Each is about 500 meters, a little taller than Sears Tower, a marvel of engineering in and of itself, but not an obviously anomalous one. What they contain, however, is a different story. From my layman's perspective, they appear to be combination residential offices and bureaucratic buildings. Each floor seems to consign itself to one of those three types and contains appropriate pieces of technology. Most are too degraded to be useful, but the fact that they're here at all after thousands of years is incredible. I can discern the purpose of about a quarter of them, though. They're all anomalous to some extent. The drones are writing up detailed reports now, but they variously break laws of thermodynamics, physics, and matter conservation, and often simply use magic to do these things, as mundane as copy documents or keep food hot or cold. Scp-001-A instance. And of course the Automata, little machines made of a golden metal and built to resemble animals that this culture in the middle of the desert could have no possible way of knowing about. Definitely sentient, possibly sapient, fully mechanical. I found a broken open one in the street and took it as a sample, picture attached, but demonstrating what looks to me like a primitive artificial intelligence. There must be hundreds of them at least. My guess is that they were designed to maintain the city, and for the millennia it's laid abandoned, they've been doing exactly that. They're pretty cute, to be honest. Whatever this civilization was, the anomalous was so pedestrian to them. They were using paratechnology we even now barely understand as household appliances and servants. They were playing with nuclear reactors while the rest of us huddled in caves behind the fire. If this is any indicator of what lies below the streets, AMONI RAM might be the key to pushing humanity into the future. From the desk of Dr. Hedvig Nussbaum, AMONI RAM Initiative. Personal thoughts on the history potential of AMONI RAM. I have to continually pinch myself to make sure I'm not dreaming. A vast city, undocumented by anyone else in the modern era, hiding a culture that had blended advanced magic and technology to settle half of Asia, while the Egyptians had yet to settle the Nile. If the evidence wasn't surrounding me, I'd call myself a liar. We've already discovered much. Some of the researchers are more interested in investigating the individual houses and homes to see what an average civilian lived like. Completely understandable. That said, I'm far more intrigued by this cult of Meccan that seems to pervade every aspect of AMONI RAM. In the ruins of Sumer, the other ancient cities, religious iconography is common. Here it's ubiquitous. The palace temple is the most obvious example of this, with mechanical bas-reliefs that seem to tell a creation myth laid throughout. The buildings, houses, shops, skyscrapers, even the machinery Robert's team is disassembling have this religious significance about them. It's especially fascinating since practically nothing else is known to us about the religion or culture of these Mechanites, beyond the admittedly questionable statements of Lord Blackwood. Even the name Mechanite is a Greek epithet used in the Aegean tablets, derivative of Mechane, machine. As it stands, their culture is a black box, and even with the murals and writings, I doubt we will ever have more than a passing understanding of this once great civilization and what happened to them. MTF Zeta 9 Fire Team Echo passed through the SCP-001 and arrived in AMONI RAM on September 6 with no complications. The next day, they prepared themselves for insertion into AMONI RAM's Undercity in a controlled exploration. All members were, along with their individual digital augments and implants, equipped with cochlear topological mappers, devices that use high-frequency echoing sound waves to construct maps of subterranean areas. Open addendum. Begin log. Echo 1. Echo 1, beginning op, inserting into AMONI RAM subterranean zone from entrance Alpha, near home base. Echo 2. Looks dark down there. Night vision? Echo 1. Sounds good. Members of Echo Team activate night vision on their ocular implants. Echo 4. Alright, here we go. Descending now. Members of Echo begin going down the stairwell. Command. You have to describe to us what you're seeing, Echo. Echo 2. Not much right now, just Stairs. Kind of fancy stairs. Marble or something. Echo 3. Not exactly what you'd use for industrial applications. Echo 4. Might not be an industrial area at all. They continue their descent before their elevation stabilizes. Echo 1. Alright, we appear to have reached the bottom. Instruments say we are 25 meters below ground. Echo 3. We're in some sort of corridor. Walls are stone, but there's those same pipes in every direction. There's a couple of paths we could take. Echo 1. Taking the first left. Left-hand rule. Leave a marker trail. Echo team begins walking down the corridor, periodically marking the wall with red paint. It is wide enough to comfortably accommodate all of them. Echo 2. Looks like there's lights on the walls. Non-functional though. Echo 4. I see something up ahead, I think. Down to the left? Echo 1. Yep. Eyes up, boys. Echo team advances into the room. Echo 3. Clear. Echo 2. Looks like some sort of foundry command. Huge room, assembly line, lots of big machinery. Most of it looks trashed, though. Echo 4. Taking photos. The techies will love this. Team moves around the room, collecting evidence and surveying the area. Echo 1. Let's not spend the day down here, folks. Keep moving. Echo 3. Yep, packing up now. Echo 4. Onwards and downwards. Team exits the room, continuing on their path. The corridor gently slopes downward. Echo 1. Descending again. Echo 2. Air quality degrading. Nothing anomalous, but I'd wager the ventilation down here isn't so good. Echo 3. Wow, I wonder why. Echo 1. Yeah. Command, I'd recommend gas masks for any trips down here, just to be on the safe side. How low are we now? Echo 2. We've dropped to 30 meters, and we're at a fork in the road. Left. Team is interrupted by a noise coming from the pipes. After several seconds, it ceases. Echo 1. Safety's off. I don't trust those crab things. 4, you watch our rear. Echo 4. Yes, sir. Echo 1. Don't just stand there, people. Keep moving. The team continues down the fork and encounters a corridor with several doors inset into the stone. Team enters the nearest door. Echo 2. Workshop of some sort. Small room, desks along the wall. I think that was paper at some point. Nothing particularly interesting. Moving on. The rest of the rooms are similarly workshop spaces or storage closets. The team continues down the paths for several minutes, discovering other small, non-notable facilities, and takes a left at the next fork into a hallway made of metallic pipes. Echo 3. Ow! Echo 1. Something wrong? Echo 3. No, sorry. Implant's just acting kind of wonky. Echo 2. Is it flickering and going staticky? Echo 3. Yeah, how did you? Echo 2. Happening to mine, too. I asked some of the scientists. They mentioned their augments have also been a little cranky. City's obviously had a weird relationship with tech. They're working on figuring out what. Echo 4. Huh. Echo 3. Well, don't go. F. Echo 3 loses his footing and is grabbed by Echo 2 as the pipework begins beneath, shears away, and collapses. A large section falls into the abyss below, landing with a splash. Echo 2. Whoa, you good? Echo 3. Yeah, thanks, and, I think we've discovered the sewers. Echo 1. That freaking reeks. Looks like the underground was for all the maintenance of the city. Construction making those little robots essential functions to keep it running. Echo 4. Yeah, and it looks like the underground part hasn't aged quite as well as the city above ground. Echo 1. Well, we're not getting it out through here. Let's go back. Take the other way. For the next hour, Echo Team explores the vast tunnel system, making points of interest and unsafe routes and passages. They encounter a section entrance that appears to be overgrown by black vines. Echo 4. Those plants the other guys mentioned. Echo 2 reaches down to take a sample. At his touch, the entire vine crumbles into a fine black dust. He places it in a sample bag. Echo 2. It's dead at least, but look there. On the wall, a human skeleton is pinned against the concrete by the vines. Several are wrapped around the limbs, and several jet through the ribs and into the concrete. Echo 3. Ouch. Echo 1. A plan that kills. Stay sharp. Echo 4. And here's one of those pods. A roughly square, meter-sized ellipsoid pod sits on a stalk protruding from the length of vine. Echo 4 gives it a sharp jab with the rifle butt. It ruptures, leaking a foul-smelling black liquid that dissolves the vine it comes into contact with. An object tumbles out into the puddle. Echo 4. Yep, corpse, highly decomposed, just like Blackwood found. Echo Team continues through the tunnels, encountering a large amount of the vines and their victims. They also encounter mass graves similar to those found by Magellan on the surface. Echo 2. These walls are all covering machinery, I just realized. I can see parts through the cracks in the metal. Echo 4. Probably more city maintenance, probably magic. Echo 3. You think the entire Undercity is machine? Echo 2. It could be. We'd have to do some mapping, but it wouldn't be the least believable thing here. Echo Team were interrupted by another clanging throughout the pipe system, this one considerably closer. They raised their firearms. After a few seconds, an SCP-001-A instance shaped like a small monkey leaves the pipe system from a gap, moving past Echo Team. At the corner ahead, it turns to look at them. Echo 4. Cute. Echo 2. I think it's asking us to follow it, sir. Echo 1. Seems like it. Okay, follow the monkey, I guess. Be careful. Echo Team follows the SCP-001-A instance for 35 minutes as it leads them deeper underground and through the subterranean facility, over large abyss and through rooms of large, complex machinery and displays. Eventually it stops as they enter a cavernous room containing a single large object at its far end. Their location is directly under the palace in the center of the city. Echo 1. What is that? Echo 4. Looks like a person. Echo 3. What the hell? The object is a massive block of metal covered in gears, displays, circuitry, and vacuum tubes, extending throughout the room to more machinery arranged along the walls. At the front of the block of metal, a vaguely humanoid figure juts outward, hanging into the empty air like a figurehead. A human head, arm, and upper chest are placed on a mostly mechanical frame. It looks upward as Echo Team approaches, firearms raised. It opens its mouth, and a stilted, feminine voice with a digital edge booms out from the machine. You have entered the Gate of the West, Adytum's answer, the great and holy city of AMONI RAM. Welcome. There is much to discuss. End log. Section 001.4. Further investigation. Further inquiries from Echo Team to SCP-001-A1 were rebuffed or met with nonsensical statements. It repeatedly expressed the desire to speak with the scholars, interpreted to refer to Dr. Aram and Nussbaum. Echo Team spent the following hours mapping a path back to the surface, utilizing their CTMs. Upon arrival, researchers used the collected data to construct a 3D rendering of a significant portion of AMONI RAM's Undercity, attached below. Echo Team was debriefed and declared that the Undercity was largely safe for exploration, barring particularly heavily corroded passages and areas infested by the anomalous extinct vegetation species, tentatively classified as SCP-001-B, and the pods of acid, classified as SCP-001-C. Subsequent sample analysis determined that the external skin of the pods was an organic but calcified substance similar to flesh. Project leads Aram and Nussbaum were briefed on the discovery of SCP-001-A1 under the palace and its request for their presence. Both agreed to conduct an interview and were escorted by a contingent of armed tactical response officers to SCP-001-A1's chamber the following day. Open addendum. Interviewers: Dr. Hedvig Nussbaum, Dr. Robert Aram. Subject: SCP-001-A1. Begin log. The party enters the chamber. SCP-001-A1's bodily components hang limply from the wall. Nussbaum. Hello? Aram. Is it alive? SCP-001-A's head twitches upwards. No! Welcome! Nussbaum, startled. Oh, mein Gott. Aram. What are you? I am. I was. I remain. What are you? Nussbaum. We are scholars, wishing to investigate the history of this city. Scholars? SCP-001-A1's head goes limp. The wall of machinery behind it shudders. For several seconds, it bursts into a flurry of activity with a shuddering thrashing. Small objects fly through the vacuum tubes. Gears can be seen turning and ticking. Primitive lights flicker on and off. It winds down as SCP-001-A1 raises its head again. The great grand city of AMONI RAM is home to 4 academies, 16 schools, and scores of scholars and learned men, discovering, working, blending the gifts of God. What gives you the right to call yourself a scholar? Nussbaum. Anyone who seeks knowledge can call themselves a scholar, I suppose, and we have not seen anyone else since we have arrived. Your army arrived here 2 cycles ago. How'd you figure that out from down here? Have been observing. The Automata are scholars. They are servants, soldiers, and everything else. I have learned your language from seeing your troops, the white coats and the tan patterns. Nussbaum. I see. You see what the A instances see? They are the eyes, and I am the hard metal mind, and you have come to conquer my city. Nussbaum. Oh, no, we're not an army. Armies have generals, kings, priests, 3 men who must be guarded. You walk in here with guards. You claim you are no general, king and queen, leaders of your people? Aram. How come we can't be priests? I am a priest. You have no shred of God in your heart. I can smell it. Aram. Then, yes, I suppose we're leaders of our people. Welcome, mechanist and scholar, to the 2nd Spire, white city of the broken empire, finger of McCain, the Fulda throne, and the great and holy city of AMONI RAM. Aram. Whoa. Nussbaum. Wow, could you explain what that means? You are unaware of our history. How long has it been? Nussbaum. We're not entirely sure of how long it's been since whatever happened here, but thousands of years at the minimum. We didn't think anyone would still be alive. Once again, SCP-001-A1 goes limp and appears to be computing something for several seconds. I am not alive. Aram. Are you some sort of machine? Yes. You are meat, wet, dripping to the bone. I am the kiss of God, shining steel and full-out. I am made in the McCain's image, and you are everything I am not. Aram raises his hand. All right, we're running in circles here. Stop. Aram freezes. Your arm. Let me see it. An SCP-001-A instance detaches itself from the wall and approaches Aram, lightly scaling his coat and onto his prosthetic arm, inspecting it for several seconds. During this time, Aram says nothing. Eventually, the instance drops to the floor and skitters away. AMONI RAM was a city of science and blessing, the McCain's gift to us, the golden medal, the Falad. It allowed us to construct wonderful things. Every man, woman, and child presented with augmentations like these, like yours, to become something better than human. Aram. I'm not the only one. The vast majority of our personnel in the city have some kind of augment. Dr. Nussbaum and all our security personnel have oculars. I have my prosthesis. And there are countless others. You are allowed entry to the city of AMONI RAM. You will record our history and our creations. I will assist you. I will make sure we are not forgotten. You will be our legacy. Silence. I have not been repaired in many revolutions. There are gaps, holes, flaws in my memory, but the temple contains an inexorable record of our city's godly creation. I will give you a translation. You will ask me for everything else. Aram. We're also going to need insight on the technology of the city. Yes, I will answer any inquiries you have, Mechanist. The Automata will show you the paths of the labyrinth that are unsafe. The real wonders of the city lie below. Nussbaum. I thank you. We're in your debt. No, a bargain has been struck, a fair exchange. We show you, and you preserve the Mechanite Empire. Go, now. End log. Scp-001-A1 presented Drs. Aram and Nussbaum with a series of documents printed from its body. The documents were as follows. A basic translation guide from the language all records within AMONI RAM are written in, coined Mechanite, to English, with some Greek bywords, digitized and distributed to all members of the archaeological team. A map of the Undercity, fully annotated with sections of interest and unpassable areas that Echo Team had missed, combined with the CTM map formed by Echo Team to offer a complete map of the Undercity. Full schematics of various technologies found within the city, digitized and distributed to all members of the engineering team. In addition, a small mechanical device of unknown function was provided to Dr. Aram. With the assistance provided by SCP-001-A1, research into AMONI RAM began in earnest on September 12, 1983. Open addendum. Mural analysis, AMONI RAM initiative. The temple courtyard contains intricate murals depicting what Dr. Nussbaum theorizes is a creation myth for the extant Mechanite culture. Accompanying these are plaques bearing an inscription in Mechanite. While the rest of the archaeological team investigated the rest of the city, a small team was dedicated to translating the courtyard engravings. Side description. First relief depicts a scene of 3 figures wrestling in a dark void, followed by the figures falling to different corners of a slightly inaccurate map of Asia. Footnote 2. The Indian subcontinent extends much farther into the Indian Ocean. There is a land bridge between China and Japanese archipelago, and there are 7 inland seas of varying size. One lands in the far corner of the Indian subcontinent, one lands on the coast of China, and one lands in the center of the Arabian Peninsula. This final figure dominates the rest of the scenes. It is revealed to be a massive but lithe figure dressed in golden armor. A shepherd, his wife, and his 3 lame sheep happen upon it, buried in the sand, obviously wounded. Translation of plaque. She knew that the wound was not mortal, but crippling. She understood her fate, and entrusted her legacy to Bumaro and his blood. He became the first blacksmith, shaping the metal of her body as she shaped life itself. He made himself in her image, and the people were awed. For their faith, they were uplifted beyond the chains of humanity, and from her stripped armor, they raised the first city on the back of the sleeping goddess, AMONI RAM, city of Fulat, shining gate of the west. Machinery log, AMONI RAM initiative. From September to February, hundreds of pieces of technology were analyzed and investigated by the engineering team. While many were too degraded to be of any practical use, they were still highly illuminating in determining the technology level of the extant Mechanite culture. A few particularly notable discoveries are attached. Description. 4-meter poles inset into the ground at various intervals through the streets of AMONI RAM. 6 disc-shaped objects, a meter wide, top each pole. When an electrical current is applied to the pole, the discs begin to knock against each other, emitting radio waves of unclear purpose. Currently theorized to be some sort of conductor system for the city, possibly an attempt at creating a free wireless power system. Description. Large, partially subterranean greenhouses occupying a significant portion of the western district of the city. Copper pipes running underground gases alternatingly cool and heat them according to valves, and the greenhouses are several floors tall, utilizing novel organization and irrigation techniques. Operating at maximum efficiency, a large portion of the city's theorized 500,000 population could have been fed by them. Description: a series of magnetically charged rails running through the city in a loop through all the cars have been completely ruined. Applying a specific electrical charge allows rapid, high-speed movement through the city. Based on the lack of stations or stopping points, this is believed to have been a hop-on, hop-off method of mass transit at extraordinarily low overhead. Description: small metal shields with 2 switches on the handle. When fully powered, one switch projects a rapidly oscillating energy shield that protects the wearer against fast-moving kinetic objects. The shield can be maintained for up to 20 minutes on a full charge. The other switch projects a skin-tight shield that camouflages the wearer within their surroundings, effectively rendering them invisible. This is much more power-intensive and can only be maintained for 3 to 6 minutes, depending on movement. Description: large constructs, 2 in every district, set into the ground, though not part of the Undercity. The locks and seals have been damaged. Inside are large machines that have been investigated to contain radioactive material. Details are currently sealed, but the engineering team is of the opinion that these could have been functional, nuclear, or possible cold fusion reactors, supplying electricity to the city's power grid and power poles. Description: unclear. Large sections of the Undercity are inaccessible, making thorough analysis difficult. However, the engineering team is agreed in that a significant portion of the Undercity appears to be one gargantuan machine, incorporating mundane technology along with paratechnology. Further research required. In the process of research and excavation, SCP-001-A instances led the archaeological team to a structure within the southern district that appeared to be a record center, possibly a library or university. While the vast majority of the paper documents contained therein were rotted and illegible, the metal and clay tablets were remarkably well preserved. The instances further directed personnel to a basement section containing a large metal safe, since rusted off its hinges. Within was a cache of several dozen metal cylinders measuring 10 centimeters in diameter, imprinted with writing in mecanite. Due to their form, the language, and several other factors, only one was immediately translated. And the shining eye of the Empire rose as Bumaro took his anointed seat on the Fulad throne. AMONI RAM rose from the sands on the back of McCain, her pieces scattered to the 6 winds and the 5 corners of the world. As the slaves marched on Aditum in the east, and the covenants were stuck in the south, so too was the holiest and the godliest of magics given freely to man under the watchful eye of the sun. And the sword of McCain cut a swath through the world, and all those trembled in fear, until they saw the light of the Ram, the greatest city of man, gifted by McCain, but built by the hands of workers, not the demons of the Covenant, or the flesh slaves. The Empire swelled, and the metal road ferried new people, and AMONI RAM swelled from their presence, and the world was good as Bumaro watched from his throne for his reign of centuries. And when his reign ended and his golden body passed, the Empress Hedara wept, and the city of AMONI RAM wept with her, and they rested their hope onto the air. And Hashir Bumaro grew into a wise king under the auspices of his family, and gave his arm and leg for his empire, just as his father had done. And in that way Bumaro lived on, resting in the soul of his son, and his son's son, and so on, for evermore. And the Emperor Bumaro used the throne to invoke the wisdom of his past lives, and in that way the empire conquered and slew its way into the world, and it was led into the continent, and into the conflict with the other nations of man, bloody and brutal devastation. After several weeks and months of independent research, another interview was scheduled with SCP-001-A1 to seek clarification on the discoveries made, as well as input on technical questions. Interviewers: Dr. Hedwig Nussbaum, Archaeological Team Lead; Dr. Robert Aram, Engineering Team Lead; Drs. Sarek Blaskowitz, AT, and Sarah McKinnon, AT; researchers Bill Tenz, ET, and Mohammed Zaid, ET. Subject: SCP-001-A1. Begin log. Aram: Hello? SCP-001-A1? SCP-001-A's head twitches upward. The scholars return. It has been many cycles. I have watched. Nussbaum: Yes, your little automata. They've been very helpful. Yes. What are these ones? Sorry? SCP-001-A1 flicks an arm at the doctors and researchers. These ones. They were not here last visit. Aram: Oh yes, these are your attendants. What? You are a king and a queen, you said. Bumaro and Hadara had attendants to serve them. Are these your attendants? No, it's not. Yes, that's right. Our attendants. You can trust them. They're with us. SCP-001-A1's head stiffly nods. Do they speak? They can, and I think they've got some questions for you if you're inclined to answer. You are a strange king. I will answer. Thank you, and we never did get a name for you, did we? You may call me Perseverer. It is my function. Excellent. A pleasure to meet you, Persevere. Aram motions to the engineering team. Zaid: Right, yes, hello. We've been disassembling and investigating the machinery in the city and undercity, and we keep coming across this bronzish alloy. It's hard to take samples from, and trying to break it has gotten us nowhere. You speak of the Folad. You've said that before, haven't you? McKinnon: We've seen the word in our translations. Yes, the Folad is a metal, a gift from McCain. With it we forged our swords, our technology, our very way of life. It is the backbone the Empire was built on, a sign of favor from God that we were the chosen people. The smiths knew how to work and melt the metal best, but every citizen was expected to know. A nation of swordsmen and foundries. McKinnon: The writings mentioned a Folad throne? The throne crafted by Bumaro was the first ingot of Folad, stripped from the armor of McCain herself. It is holy beyond holiness, divine beyond divinity. Its very presence is a symbol of power, and now it sits empty in the throne room. Devastation. Tenz: Is it possible you could teach us to work the Folad? It would be great to. Yes, you will learn. Oh. Thank you, Persevere. I'll send some people down in the coming weeks. This will help. It was among the greatest boons gifted to our culture. Folad became a byword for unbreakable. Bear it well. Zaid: We will. The things the Mechanites did with it are unbelievable, advanced beyond belief. The greatest civilization that ever stood. Blaskowitz: Right. We also have questions about this Bumaro. He seems to occupy a central place in the Mechanite culture, religion, history, everything. Who was he? Emperor Bumaro was the first mortal man to witness the majesty of the broken god in all her glory. Her sundered form laid to rest under the sands, a cripple and a peasant, raised above humanity by the generosity of McCain, given new form to him, his family, his flock, his people. What would become the Mechanite Empire? Blaskowitz: Right. We gleaned that as much from the creation myth. It is not a myth. Pardon? A myth is what the Covenant use to scare their children. The Emperor is history. His existence is indisputable. McKinnon: It says in the cylinder that he reigned for centuries. Zaid: They figured out cold fusion and bionics in the 17th century BCE. Is it so hard to believe they extended their lifespans? Point taken. He was given form in his sons, and his bloodline let him raise the greatest army ever known, all to bring order and justice to the world. Blaskovitz. I suppose that covers the Empire part as well, though, could you tell us more about those other two nations of man? We've seen them referenced many times, but nothing specific. Were they related to the fall of the city? A pause, as SCP-001-A once again appears lost in computation. I do not know. Aram. Unfortunate, but I think that's all we have for you today. I believe Hedvig's people will be coming down for more interviews soon. Nussbaum. That's right. Just trying to get a better image of the culture from someone who lived it. This is acceptable. End log. Due to the substantial amount of paratech and parahistorical findings submitted to Overwatch Command by the AMONI RAM initiative since active research began 6 months prior, 0511 scheduled a meeting with the initiative leads on March 2nd, approximately 8 months after the initial discovery of mechanite culture, using the secure lay space communicator. Begin log. Operator. Lay connection to Overwatch Command established. Dr. Nussbaum, Dr. Aram, 0511 is waiting. Please step into the communicator. Nussbaum and Aram step onto the raised metal platform. Nussbaum. Oh, mein Gott. The lay space cycles through several locations before settling into a view of a small asphalt parking lot in what appears to be the American Southwest. Mesas and bluffs dot the horizon, and the sun is high in the blue sky. There are no buildings or structures in sight. There's a single black Maybach parked in the lot. A slender man in a finely pressed gray suit leans on the door. 0511. Hello, guys. Welcome to my little kingdom. Nussbaum. Where are we? Aram. A lay space. A virtual projection with no data transfer delay. All powered by the ley lines of the Earth. And it costs a fortune to run. I should know. I helped design it. 0511. Well, it did. But with the recent improvements that have come out of your project, it now only costs a small fortune to run. So thanks for that. Just one taste of what we've been able to do so far with SCP-001's technology. So, tell me everything. Everything, sir? Everything important? I've read the reports, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Dr. Nussbaum, your progress so far? Yes, we've recovered hundreds of tablets and engravings and mosaics across the city and are in the process of translating them. The vast majority are simple day-to-day affairs, businesses and legal records, personal correspondence, etc. All paint the picture of the mechanite culture, a society that was building a metropolis for the future. While the glaciers from the Ice Age were still melting, they had a complex legal and justice system, a novel family structure incorporating distant cousins into a large household, and clans. Yes, anthropology, fascinating. I was wondering if you had figured out any more of their later history. Later history, sir? What happened to them? Between the technological and the archaeological reports, this was a culture that was undisputed as the most advanced in the world at the time. But they also keep mentioning this war with the other two nations, this Aditum or the Nalka Empire, and the Mandjul referenced as the capital of the Devite Covenant. What that signals to me, and do tell me if I'm wrong, please, is that these two empires were each powerful enough to withstand a war with the mechanite culture, and depending on what happened to the AMONI RAM, bring it to its knees. I suppose so, sir, but the Aegean tablets do not give a precise location for the other two cities, and if we do want to find them, well, a location could be anywhere, in a shipping record, in a letter to a distant cousin. That's fine, but we need to figure out how this city died. And I'd be pretty damn willing to bet that the things you found in the Undercity are related. The flesh thingies and the plants. Nothing has been confirmed yet, though it does seem quite likely. Well, in the meantime, see what you can get out of the robots down there. What's its name? Persevere. SCP-001-A1. And it's not a robot. It's an artificial intelligence. Whatever it is, it's hiding something from you. And speaking of which, this place had artificial intelligence when the Persians were figuring out irrigation. Far from the only breakthrough. If we can harness their cold fusion technology, their bionics, their power systems, reverse engineering any one of their innovations could change the world. Well, okay, slow your roll. We don't know what happened to them. Like I said, for all we know, their technology led them to their downfall. So let's wait before getting any ideas of dragging the world into the 21st century early. Let's focus on changing the foundation first. Right, Robert? Yes, sir. Good. But I suppose that if you want to improve the rate of research, you're going to need more people. Yes, I have a list of requisition requests, all sorts of machinery, evacuation equipment, hazmat equipment, and scientific machinery, funding, of course. Naturally. Forward it to my factotum. We'll take care of anything you need. We're very excited about this over at Site-01, you know. Very excited to see what comes out of AMONI RAM next. We also need people. How many people? Right now there's about 50 of us and the security, but we've stretched thin to explore the whole city. I've run the numbers, and 200 additional personnel would give us the arms we need. That's a lot of arms, Robert. Not something I can make happen with a snap of my fingers. I have a list of names I can forward. And it is a lot, but we've barely scratched the surface of what the Mechanites left us, and already are reaping the rewards. Surely it's worth it. Can't disagree there. You'll have your people within 2 months. Might need to consider expanding. I'm inclined to agree, which is why I wanted to request your permission to see if we can't get certain aspects of the city working again. Like what? The power grid, for one. We've mapped it out pretty well, and it's surprisingly intact. I'm confident that the extra arms and 001-A1's help, we could get the reactors online within the month. Silence. The better situated the city is, the more we can learn about the machinery, and the more we can improve the foundation. I suppose so. Permission granted, just stay safe. We're still working blind here. You both have your orders anyway. Good luck. 0511 opens the car door and gets inside, starting the engine. Simultaneously, the lay space collapses into darkness, and Aram and Nussbaum step backward. Operator. Lay connection to Overwatch Command terminated. End log. To be continued in the next video.